Battlers, I am back. Welcome to another episode of the United Podcast Match Rewind Edition. Well, when it comes to hard work, battlers, and getting the job done right, none do it better than our great mates at A+ Contracting and Poly Welding. When it comes to leaving it all on the field, just like our Newcastle Knights, A+ Contracting brings that same dedication to the mining and civil projects industry. They're the experts you need in professional, comprehensive, and cost-effective contracting solutions because they will do the hard yard, battlers, so you don't have to. Well, on tonight's very cathartic episode, battlers, I'll be reviewing our lackluster performance once more after a 14-point loss to the St. George Dragons at Jubilee Stadium this past Friday, handing us our 8th loss of the season. So plenty to unpack and talk about there. Also, we'll be looking at some of the United news from this week. Plenty to unbox and look at there also. I'll be listening to a couple of the calls on the United hotline. I'll be naming your LGB Marine Titanium Forge Player of the Week. I'll be giving you my PayCat 321 players, as well as answering your Get Out Alive fire safety training burning questions. So, battlers, sit back and get ready as we take a look at the Adam O'Briens and outs of this week's game against the Dragons. Let's go! All right, battlers. First things first, I'm still riding high on the current state of events with State of Origin. And if you hadn't seen so long, I'm going to ask you, do you know James Magnuson? Does that name ring a bell to you?
It does not.
James Magnuson. I'm sure plenty of the battlers know James Magnuson. He's looking absolutely jacked. Olympian swimmer. Now, the enhanced games that I believe are going to be set in Vegas of 2026. Now, the enhanced games, for those who don't know, are basically all the rules regarding performance-enhancing drugs are thrown out the window. You can basically juice up to your eyeballs, and it's basically just a mark to see how far can the human body possibly go. This is removing all that. You can take all the steroids, the peptides, whatever the hell you want. And I thought, you know what? In the spirit of trying to keep State of Origin alive and trying to keep it competitive, I feel like that olive branch should be extended to the Queenslanders to make it somewhat competitive, because at the moment it's not looking really good for them, and I think we're staring down at a Blues dynasty. So comment away if you believe that we should be letting the Queenslanders inject steroids, peptides, do whatever they want in trying to stop what is inevitably going to be an absolute clean sweep by the Blues and a dynasty coming. It probably won't help them too much, but it might make it a little bit more competitive. Because what we saw at Suncorp Stadium was absolutely a pathetic showing, and they need all the steroids and peptides they can get their hands on in Queensland. So this first things first, brought to you by Newcastle Mixed Martial Arts, which is Newcastle Lake Macquarie's and the Hunter's highest rated martial arts gym with more than 350 5-star Google reviews. I'm sure that's well up there now. I've got to get that updated. Beginners are welcome and encouraged into their safe, inclusive, and most importantly, fun training center, battlers. Head coach Jess Landry's experience includes being directly trained by UFC veterans, as well as being trained under the wrestling coach of the Sydney Roosters. Newcastle Mixed Martial Arts is centrally located right in Cardiff, right next to the Cardiff train station, offering day and night classes for kids, teens, and adults, including Muay Thai, kickboxing, gi, and no-gi, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and mixed martial arts. So make sure you go book your free trial by visiting their website at newcastlemma.com.au. All right, battlers, before we go diving headfirst into another lackluster performance by the Newcastle Knights, can you please do so? Go like, follow, subscribe, all your United content. And if you didn't know, now you know. There's a good reason to do so now. Battlers, if you want to go on the running to win some of the most sexiest Newcastle Knights retro kit you can possibly get your hands on, all right, your boy Linc's going to hook you up. If you want to relive the glory years, well, this is how you're going to do it. Now, this is what is on offer for one lucky battler. All right, kicking it off. Up for grabs, this absolutely sexy 1997 Premiership T-shirt, all right? One of the greatest rugby league T-shirts ever made, all right? This one's going to be given away. Oh, wait, there's more. All right. Also, the Premiership T-shirt for the same year, 1997. Again, these things don't have a mark on them, battlers. I'm telling you, I'm not going to give you away something that looks like it's been left in the sun for 1,000 years and it's got poo stains, God knows what else on it. And number 3 is a beautiful, clean skin Newcastle Knights 3/4 sleeve. Again, this thing is absolutely Mickey Mouse. Not a mark on it. Now, if you want to go on the running to win those, all you need to do, right? 3 easy steps. I've made it so easy for you. Step 1, you're going to go find our new YouTube channel. You're going to go follow us there. Step 2, you're going to go find our brand new Spotify channel. All right? Now, once you've done that, you're going to follow us there. And the 3rd step, this is it. You come so far. Might as well finish the job, right? Number 3, all you got to do is leave a big old 5-star review. All right, that's it. You know you want it. You should be doing that anyways. I shouldn't have to be giving shit away for you to do that. But because I'm such a nice bloke, I'm going to be giving you that easy. All right, it's that easy. And you're going, Linc, I know, I've already subscribed to your YouTube and Spotify before. Well, what have I said? If there's one thing that's better than subscribing to the United Spotify and YouTube channel, that's doing the goddamn thing twice. So go find our new Spotify and YouTube channel, subscribe there, big old 5-star review, help your boy Linc and Lou out. And yeah, you'll go on the running. I'll be probably announcing the winner in a week or 2. All right. So
here you go, Lincoln. Take a breather. Jared Little has said, if I wanted to hear the thoughts of someone who knows 0 about footy, I'd ask my missus to break the game down.
Jared, little by name, little by nature. Wow. Hey, coming at the big 6'6" dog with that kind of attitude, pal. Well, I guess you're not going to go on the running. If I get a 1-star review, Jared, I know where it's coming from, dude. Wowee. Holy dooly. Okay. All right. Let's move on. You haven't rattled me, Jared. You haven't rattled me, mate.
I bet he feels big now.
Oh, yeah. Maybe. We'll see. All right, let's kick it off with this week's Night of News. Plenty to unbox here, battlers. Kicking it off this week's Night of News, our ball, Paul Bryant. That's right, the tough as nail forward who made his debut a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, it looks like his season has come to an end. That's right, after dislocating that shoulder. Looks like his 2025 campaign will be completely ruled out after undergoing shoulder surgery. However, there is a silver lining. After such a courageous outing and managing to stay out in the field, putting that shoulder in, it popped back out. He refused to come off the field. He's impressed the coaching staff that much. It is expected to be announced in the next couple of weeks. He will get a new deal to keep him at the club. So give it up for our boy, Paul Bryant. And I didn't make the I didn't connect the dots before, but I saw a lot of comments from the battlers saying, "What's it with Paul's in front rowers? The great Paul Harrigan never got the great Paul Bryant." I didn't even draw those two conclusions together. So, as I was saying, I'm sure there'll be plenty of the old school Knights forwards that would absolutely have taken their hat off to this young fella. They'd be well and truly thinking that is what a Newcastle Knight should be. So stoked. He was off contract now after that incredibly courageous performance. Yes, he's going to be rewarded with a nice new contract to keep him at the club. This is the kind of stuff we want to see, battlers. Tough and gritty. Tough as now. So shout out to you, Paul Bryant. All right, moving along. Some more injury news. Our boy, Captain Kalen Ponga. Now, I'm here. If you tuned into the Night's Watch, you know that I tried to set the record straight because I don't want any misinformation. Our boy, Kalen Ponga, succumbing to an ankle injury. Now, when I did the origin autopsy with Tom from Penalty Broncos, he was saying he was sort of carrying somewhat of a mystery leg injury. I know we all know he's carrying this rib cartilage, and there's not much you can do from that apart from sort of injections and pain management. But yeah, he's actually been carrying this ankle injury. And then Adam O'Brien was saying, after playing it, it's going to take a few days for it to settle. Don't worry, I've got Adam O'Brien coming up very shortly. There's a bit of synergy between this Night and News segments. But yeah, unfortunately, he didn't rule himself out. So for all the battlers sitting there thinking, fucking Kalen Ponga, he's weak as piss, he's getting paid this amount of money, he should be playing. Well, the decision was taken out of Kalen's hands. Let's just put that on the public record, battlers, all right? This man did not make the decision. The coaching staff had to literally he's probably gagged and bound somewhere in Jubilee Stadium, all right, and put in a padded cell. Kalen Ponga wanted to be out there, but again, we're going to touch as to why very, very shortly in the next segment. But however, good news, Adam O'Brien did say he is expected to be back to play against our old rivals, Manly, all right, next week. So it's nothing too serious. It's just the amount of games that Kalen Ponga would have been playing in such an amount of time, which we're going to get to right now. Our boy, Adam O'Brien. Now, Adam O'Brien, I'm loving this from Adam O'Brien. We all sit here and go, why don't we see a little bit more fire and passion out of our coach? Well, I tell you what, he's come out swinging this time. Absolutely. Having a red hot crack in the press conference. Now, Battlers, I'm going to take a quick breather and we're going to listen to a little bit what Adam O'Brien had to say in the press conference this week.
Well, he was doing everything he could. I took the decision away from him because it's the right thing to do. And I know, like Val backs up, but he's a centre. And Kalen had a pretty rough week up there, 10 days where he's trying to get that ankle right for Origin. And it's the type of injury that takes a few days to settle down. So 2 days is not enough, And he's disappointed, a little bit angry with me. But, again, we're going to protect. Look, we lost in this battle, we lost to the scheduling and the draw. We got someone's got to play Friday. Okay, we get that. But then they give us next Thursday as well, hit us again. So it would have been 3 games in 8 days. Well, that's not looking after our players. So I had to step in and I had to look after them.
All right, heats up, Battlers, part 2 coming your way.
How much was KP tonight, Adam?
Well, hang on. Sorry, that's part 1 again. My bad. Hang on, part 2.
Canberra still haven't had a bye yet. And then you got other teams that haven't left home in 7 games in a row. Like, it's ridiculous. So, anyway, the draw, that didn't have anything to do with the way we played tonight.
Whoa, shots fired. Adam O'Brien not impressed whatsoever with the scheduling and the draw for the Newcastle Knights. And you know what? I can't blame him. Kalen Ponga would have had to play 3 games in 8 days. And as you said, someone has to play the Friday after Origin. He understands that. But for that same team to have to try and back up on a short turnaround on a Thursday, that's a bit rubbish. Surely they could have given us a Saturday, the Sunday. And what gives with some of these teams, as I said, St. George coming into this game with 2 buys already, yet the Raiders are sitting there playing tonight. They haven't had 1. How does this work? I'd love to know. If you know, Battlers, I was meant to do my research on this. Comment away, how on earth do they actually come up with the draw? Surely to some computer software or some algorithm or fucking AI, whatever it is. They must punch in, certain games at certain times. Obviously, they want the Anzac games and blah, 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 all that stuff, right? And then I'd love to know how this is all spat out because, yeah, it certainly doesn't seem fair on the Newcastle Knights. And, I'm backing our boy Adam O'Brien. I know we played poorly. I understand that. I'm not using it as an excuse, but Jesus, that's pretty poor scheduling, I think, from the NRL. So, but it's just good to see some fire in the belly of Adam O'Brien. How many times have we gone to these press conferences going, Adam, fucking fire up, pal, fire up, get elated, get emotional. So at least we got that this week, Battlers. It was nice to see a little bit of something from our boy Adam O'Brien in the presser. All right, moving along with some more United news, and that's right, Battlers, Voldemort no more. Dominic Young, hang on, I'm touching on Dominic Young, sorry. Where am I? Leo Thompson, sorry, I've skipped one. Leo Thompson, that's right, Leo Thompson, unfortunately, Battlers, will be the match review committee deeming his crusher tackle a grade 2 on young Hamish Stewart, and given his subsequent prior record, he'll be looking at a minimum 4-week suspension, 5 if he fights it, which is absolutely terrible news for us. We know forward stocks at the best of times have been absolutely poor for us, and compound that with now JSAF. JSAF's still a week. I think it was more than that. I think Adam O'Brien saying at least 2 or 3 weeks we're going to be waiting on JSAF. You compound this now, we're going to be losing Leo for at least a month. Wow, this couldn't have come at a worse time as for a club that's certainly trying to search for some answers. I'll be touching shortly very much on the power game that was played on Friday night and how terrible our forwards actually performed. But yeah, to lose Leo for 4 weeks, I'm sure they're not going to fight it because they're not going to win it. So yeah, we're going to be missing him for at least the 4 weeks, Battlers. But let's move along, shall we? Let's try and get to a bit of positive news for the Newcastle Knights. That's right, Dominic Young. We were saying before, where there was smoke, there was fire. I was getting so many DMs saying, Linc, is there any chance we're still going to get our boy Dom Young? We know Trent Robertson came out absolutely swinging, shutting down, bullshitting everyone, saying, we never said anything about letting him go, and how dare the Newcastle Knights make such a request? Well, it appears that it looks like a fait accompli that our boy Dominic Young will be making his triumphant return back to the Hunter after our, round 15 clash against the Roosters. So in a bizarre twist of fate, he could actually be lining up against us for the Roosters before inevitably coming to us the very next week. I know he's not playing tonight. I think they still had Rob Toyer and Mark Nwanga Nitawase. Been practicing that all week. Thank you very much. But yeah, the Roosters very much keen to hold on to him. I guess during this origin period, they weren't sort of expecting Rob Toyer to play. So Dom's found his way back into the club, first grade squad that way. So I can see where the Roosters are coming from, where they would want to keep his services for a little, a few more weeks before they hand the keys over to us. So, but it's just going to be nice not referring to him as Voldemort no more. And for a team that is absolutely struggling to score points, it's going to be certainly a welcome addition to have. Cast your minds back 2023, the unfortunate year, his last year with us before he went off down to Bondi. Broke the season try-scoring record for the Newcastle Knights. I believe 26 tries in 23 rounds of football. If I got that wrong, comment away, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It looks like, Schiller Instinct's got a fight on his hand to keep that jersey. You let me know. Is he a straight-up walk-in? I got a feeling just because we're just so desperate, we're in such a place where we need something. I think that's going to happen. I think they're going to pull the trigger. They haven't made all these moves just to get him to go play reserve grade. I think they're just going to plug him straight in with the hopes that they're going to recapture some of that 2023 form once more. And basically, if you've got a winger out there that's scoring at least, on average, a try a season, because I think even his first season at the Roosters in 2024, he was averaging just about a try a game. So I think if that does happen, come round, 16, would be his first game for us. I think he'll slot straight back in, but you let me know. All right, some other United news. Now, kept getting asked, Linc, who are we signing? Who are we looking at as far as forwards? Well, the Newcastle Knights have identified Ethan Bullimore. Reportedly, eyes are set on him. But, however, the Sea Eagles... Sea Eagles CEO, Tony Mestrov, quote, "We're keen to keep him long-term and is set to re-sign, apparently, a 4-year contract extension to keep him at the Sea Eagles." So, I don't know. Again, I think Peter O'Sullivan said they're not going to enter a bidding war on this one. They're not going to be paying overs. He's coming in a real ripe age of his career, 95 NRL games, 25-year-old, 97.2 tackle efficiency this season, averaging 100 run meters. So, statistically looking really good. Tom from Penalty Broncos and our Origin autopsy, he had him as a bit of a smoky. I think he was just going to bloody punt Lindsay Collins unless Lindsay Collins gets absolutely juiced to the eyeballs and steroids and peptides. He had Ethan Bullimore as a bit of a smoky to come in and maybe get an Origin spot. So keep your eyes and ears peeled on that one, Battlers. But yeah, it looks like Manly are very, very keen to secure his services. But look, stranger things have happened in rugby league, and yeah, so that might be one to keep an eye out and ear for. I know last time I did this, I think it was last Sunday's Match Rewind, I was going on about Josiah Pahulu, and the very next fucking day when the episode drops on Spotify, he's bloody signed with the Storm. So, if you're listening to this the next day, there might be an announcement he's signed for Manly. But at the very least, we're looking at him. So who knows? Who knows? We could lure him down to the Hunter. All right, that'll wrap up for this week's United news. All right, I've been treading water enough, Battlers. Trying to avoid the absolute inevitable. Well, let's do it. Let's dive into this week's game with the Newcastle Knights being absolutely dominated. 20 points to 6 by the hands of the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Very similar kind of a game, I feel like, the State of Origin. A lot of points scored in the second half. Maybe a little silver lining. We did outscore them in the second half, if there is any kind of silver lining of this game. But as I was alluding to before, the game well and truly won through the middle. The power game that the St. George Illawarra Dragons were playing just dominated us through the middle. If you were sitting here, tuned in and watched me on the Night's Watch, I think at halftime I was going through and I think I saw, do you remember, Lou, what I was saying about Leo Thompson? What was it, like 16 run meters and a half or something crazy?
Yeah, it's nuts. Hey.
Terrible. They absolutely blew us off the park. Dave Clemmer. Wouldn't we love a David Clemmer back at our club right about now? Dave Clemmer and Dane Laurie set the tone for the Dragons. 175 run meters for Clem, 142 for Dane Laurie. Absolutely blew us off the park. Tyson Brazil came back a little bit, 112 run meters, but Leo Thompson finishing on 75, which was really, really disappointing. They just absolutely blew us through the middle of the park. Let me take a look at some of the team statistics. They pretty much dominated us in absolutely every regard. St. George, 200 runs for 1,954 run meters. Newcastle Knights barely cracking over 1,500. run meters, post-contact meters, 700 for the Dragons. We didn't even crack 500. 4 line breaks to 2, 39 tackle breaks to our 18. Average set distance, they beat us there, 43.4 compared to our 39. Just absolute domination in the power game. You know, if there was ever a game that you looked at and gone, geez, they beat us through the middle, they absolutely did, which was super disappointing, I thought, from our captain, Tyson Rozelle. You know, after such a really good performance, I think he picked up my pay cat 2 points last week. I thought he was really, really good, put his hand up in the absence of JSAF and Leo, but geez, I just think he went missing for a huge part of this game, which was super, super unfortunate. But look, one thing that I did speak about on the roster review show, and it absolutely, I tell you what, it made me look like an absolute master. The Dragons attacking along their right edge. They just kept funneling everything they possibly could. KPP making the most tackles on the night, so it was no surprise that right edge had its job cut out for him. With Val Holmes and was it Nathan Lawson on debut, the rugby sevens player too. So, you know, they read us like a book really when it came to the halves. I thought the halves also pretty disappointing. Kicking game certainly wasn't great. I think the only one real good kick I remember was maybe early in the second half. Tyson Gamble put one just behind Clint Gutherson. But all in all, asks absolutely no questions of the Dragons' defense. They, as I said, read us like an absolute rugby league book. They saw the play unfolding before it even happened in that regard. Didn't really throw any decent shape at him. Tyson Gamble, too, like a really, really poor defensive decision. You know, if you're going to, so many times I've said, if you're not going to have the best, you know, kicking game and the best running game and all that stuff, at least you've got to hang your head on some real good defense. Well, geez, you know, Nepo baby, Kyle Flanagan absolutely tricked him with a little dummy there. He just bid on that instead of sliding out. And Jaden Sewer pretty much going in untouched. Bit of touch football stuff there from Jaden Sewer, but I thought that was really, really disappointing. But yeah, and you know, the yardage penalties from the Knights also. Adam O'Brien clearly very, very frustrated with that. You know, I know watching the game, I know some of them were very, very unfortunate where it was slippery conditions down there at Jubilee Stadium, and you know, players slipping, and you know, I think it was Tommy Cant caught him high, maybe KPP was another one. But again, just gifting the Dragons such cheap meters, and you know, it was just because we're defending so much, our attack's poor enough as it is, and then when you're gifting this team that's just dominating the power game, and your defense is just laboring the way it is, you know, for a struggling attack as it is, well, you know, you just got no fuel left in the tank to really throw some good shape or attack them lethally. So that was really, really disappointing. Some of those yardage, some penalties there. Again, KPP with that, if you remember that in that Shepherd play, he had a real mixed bag, KPP. Run around the back of someone, that was just a really dumb penalty. And then you had Jaden Brayley also, you know, caught, what do they call that penalty? You know, when they're in front of the play and then they come back and get the ball and the Dragons kick the 2 points from there. So again, just really silly stuff. Absolute coach-killing penalties. That'll be one they will well and truly want to clean up heading into the Manly game. Silver linings. We want to look at some silver linings from the game. Late in the game, and I actually thought, I attributed this a lot to Jaden Brayley. But when Jaden Brayley came in, he really started to one thing, you know, I've said numerous times about Jaden Brayley, far more eyes up than Phoenix. Phoenix, you know, tackled his dick off, great service, but Jaden really straightened up the attack, I felt. If you go back and watch the game, I thought when he came in, started running a bit more, not sort of trying to go around the Dragons. And then if you cast your minds back, there was.
Sorry, Lincoln. Luke Sports has said downtown is the penalty.
Downtown, that's the one. Downtown penalty, that's the one. Thanks, mate. Yeah, there was a little scoot from Jaden Brayley, a little short side raid, and then unfortunately Fletcher Hunt, you know, he was caught napping a little bit on that play, and he had to just basically do a crash play, a little short ball to Kyle McCarthy, and the play sort of died. But in one instance, though, that was really good, and this just goes to show you, unfortunately, how poor the halves played. Was the only time we managed to score points, and the only time we even remotely looked dangerous was actually Leo Thompson. Leo Thompson putting a couple of left steps on, sort of coming out to his outside, and just gets a nice little flick pass on the try Pierce Paul, his second NRL try. We were all there to witness that one. So, again, not under the best circumstances, but it was good to see Kai get a try. Again, a real mixed game for Kai Pierce Paul. But yeah, I thought Jaden really straightened the attack up, and then I really felt like the right edge later in the game really came to life, and that's what was so annoying. I don't know why it's just scoreboard pressure. We start to play a little bit more eyes up football and get a bit more flamboyant with it, and the right edge was really starting to do some damage. Kai, Gags, I think Gags was sensational towards the end of the game. He really rolled his sleeves up. And Schiller, they had some really nice touches. They were actually starting to really worry the Dragons, I felt. It might have been a bit of a case of the Dragons might have had a bit of the cue in the rack, so to speak, and I thought like they got the game in hand. But it was starting to look exciting. I said, Christ, why can't we do this? More often. That period of particularly straight after half time. My God, how many times have we said how poor the Newcastle Knights come out of the second half? Well, some of those defensive sets, geez, they just absolutely blew us off the park. I think it was a high ball they put up and it split bloody Schiller and Gags. No one wanted to take it. And it just looked sloppy. Whatever Adam O'Brien's message was at halftime clearly wasn't received by the playing group. And yeah, it just was more or less the same. We didn't sort of see any sort of response or any uptick in the performance, coming into halftime. We're all screaming for halftime to come. But then, yeah, that 10, 20, 15 minutes after halftime certainly didn't make it look any better. But yeah, well, let's take a look at some of the well, fuck it. Let's jump into our Nitanium Forged Player of the Week, brought to you by LGB Marine, the experts in building resilience on and off the water, just like the toughest structures they construct. This week's player has been battle-tested, unshaken, and built to withstand anything. LGB Marine, strength, precision, resilience. Let's dive into this week's winner and battlers. None other than your boy, the flying mullet himself. Fletcher Hunt wins his second Nitanium Forged Player of the Week. Not bad for a guy that's played 3 NRL games. Let's take a look at some of, if I can bring them up quickly, some of Fletcher Hunt's statistics from the game. Fletcher Hunt, where are you, pal? 80 minutes played, 16 runs for 91 run meters, 30 post contact. Got the 1 tackle break there, 5 tackles, 1 miss. Unfortunately, he's got the 7 errors, but it's hard to be sort of too critical of those errors. A lot of them were just, the short dropouts, which the Newcastle Knights, common away, if you know, you know. How bloody awful are the Newcastle Knights at short dropouts? I swear, I honestly cannot remember the last time. 10 points to the battler out there that can comment away and tell me the last time the Newcastle Knights won a short dropout. Actually contested one and won the goddamn thing. I cannot remember for the life of me. But yeah, a lot of those were that sort of stuff. Geez, what an absolute aerial threat he is. Talk about chalk and cheese to Greg Marzu. Holy dooly. The one thing I was pulling my hair out watching the game is like, why isn't the game script just get the ball over the right and just kick that ball over and just get him one-on-one with Tyrell Sloan? He got absolutely dudded a try. I don't know how. I'm no physics expert, battlers, but how on earth a guy didn't catch the ball, had his back to the try line, his hands are facing away from the in goal, and they reckon that he's propelled the ball forward in that motion. Does not make any sense to me. To me, it fell straight down at best. How that could be propelled forward, I don't know.
Yeah, Lincoln, from Chris. I think we have 1 or 2, and it was when we had Dom.
Oh my God. Yeah,
and
right.
Grant has said probably Dom Young back in 23.
Seriously, I can't recall the last time we actually had one. I'm scratching my head. Have we actually even had one in 2025? It's insane. But yeah, I think he was absolutely dudded that try. I don't know how he didn't get that one. But anyways, just a guy that absolutely tried his guts out. Unfortunately, his NRL debut went up against the New South Wales winger who would go on to score 2 tries for the Blues. I thought he held his own really, really well there. Took some really tough carries. As I said, great under the high ball. Sort of complete polar opposites to Greg Marzu. Greg Marzu is like a winger that is absolutely not a specialist under the high ball. But this guy, wow, as I said, I feel like if you just gave him half a chance, if you put that ball right on the try line, nice and high, I feel like, more times than not, he's going to get the jump on Tyrell Sloan and it's going to end in bloody points.
Here's another comment from Justin. He says, I think it was Magic Round this year that we challenged and won the short dropout.
Oh, of course. It would have been against like a bloody Reggie's team. Yeah, of course it would have been, Justin. But yeah, Yeah, again, I don't know what much more you want from a young fella. He's just an absolute goal. He's going to get better and better for this. Unfortunately, before, as I said, if going back, Jaden Brayley, real quick scoot out of dummy half, short side raid. Fletcher Hunt, nowhere to be found. If he was completely unmarked, he would have just rocketed a nice little cutout ball past Kyle McCarthy, and he would have strolled over untouched. But unfortunately, I don't know what he was thinking, where he was. He was like 10 meters behind the play, but he'll live and learn from that, the young fella. But not only that, not only did he, a bit of an error specialist, saving the try, the Tyrell Sloan try, absolutely incredible effort there. He would have absolutely scored that had it not been for the intervention of Fletcher Hunt there. So we got a good one on our hands, battlers. I don't know what his contract situation is, but I'm sure the Newcastle Knights are looking at this guy and going, whoa, there's real potential here, real X factor kind of stuff. So let's hope he's rewarded very shortly with a contract extension if we haven't sort of already wrapped him up. If someone can let me know. Kyle McCarthy's contract situation. When have we got him signed to? 10 points to the first battler. They can let me know that. All right, let's move along to my Paycat. My Paycat Knighted Players of the Week, brought to you by Paycat. Payroll made easy by a crew in Newey who know their stuff. Whether you're paying the boys on a construction site or trying to sort out that tricky Shads award for your NDIS biz, Paycat makes it dead easy. They back hundreds of businesses and even back an NRL club to keep their payroll running smooth too. You can run payroll yourself or get the Paycat team to do it for you. Either way, you'll have more time to crack a cold one and watch some footy. So let's take a look at some blokes who earned their pay this week. And kicking it off with our boy, I gave my 3 points to Dane Gagai. I thought he was absolutely immense. Well and truly had a job on his hands. As I said, with the left edge of the Dragons funneling everything they could down that way. I thought he held his own. Some of these statistics from Gags, what have we got here? 18 runs for 202 run meters, our leading run meter reader for the night, 51 post contact, 8 tackle breaks. He's got the 1 line break assist, 21 tackles. He did unfortunately have the 6 miss, which he'd love back. But I thought, in a team that really struggled to have anything go forward, particularly late in that game, I thought Gags, well and truly sort of stamped his authority on that game, led by example, which is what you want from your veterans. That's why I was sort of really kind of disappointed in Tyson Frizzell's efforts early in the game. They're the guys you lean on. Adam O'Brien was sort of saying about the youth and inexperience. Well, when you got Tyson and Gags in your team, well, you need those veterans more than ever, those old heads. That's where they come. They're so invaluable to your team. But I thought Gags really put his hand up. 2 points, razor sharp. Again, unfortunately, for our boy Gags, I know there was plenty of lock-it-ins for tries for Fletch. He didn't even really look like scoring points, but boy, oh boy, he tried everything. I attributed much of his game similar to what Kalen Ponga was doing for us in the Eels game. Again, it didn't lead to a lot of points or anything super fancy, but shit, he got through an absolute mountain of work there at fullback. Where are you, Razor? If I can find you quickly, mate. I want to rattle off some of Razor's statistics. Why isn't he here?
Before you do that, Lincoln, Adrian's commented saying Kyle McCarthy has a player option for 2026.
Oh, and I want to know Fletcher Hunt too, mate. I want to touch on Kyle McCarthy too. Fletcher Sharp. He had the 17 runs for 192 run meters, 59 post contact. Got the 1 tackle break there, 1 offload, 3 tackles, 1 missed. 3 errors. Oh, hang on. 3 errors for Fletcher Sharp. Just tried his guts out, tried to get something going again. He had absolutely no help from his forwards. Rolling through the middle, he just had to do everything he could. And for a guy so early into his career, it's hard to be too critical of Razor in this game. I'm sure plenty of you had some money on him to score a try too. Would have been a bit of a letdown. I think we're all hoping Razor would have continued that scintillating try-scoring form this week, but didn't really have much help around him. But he got through some work there, Razor. And Fletcher Hunt, I gave him my 1 point this week. Again, I'll be just repeating what I said earlier in the Titanium Forge Player of the Week. Thought he's just a real guy. Put his hand up. I know he had those 7 errors, but in the context of the game, that was just him trying to will his way to short dropouts, aerial stuff. It wasn't sort of silly, dumb, play the ball kind of stuff or just knocking it on, that kind of rubbish. So I think when you put that in perspective, I don't think it was that bad a game, but
looking at the 2 Fletchers, did you see? I saw a post. There was a friendly competition between the mullets.
Oh, really?
Fletcher Sharp said that Hunt had a longer one before he started playing.
Oh, really?
He just cut it before he started
Oh, what? Fletch used to have a bigger one.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I wonder why he shaved it down.
Yeah.
Let's hope they just keep growing it till they win a comp.
Yeah.
Get some big filthy ones in there. But in a pay cat night of player first, you know, a guy that I really want to give a massive shout out to. And I've gone on the public record and stated I think we've got a real good one here. Kyle McCarthy. Kyle McCarthy had one of the great games, I feel. 16 runs, 125 run meters, 37 post contact, 2 tackle breaks, 21 tackles, only 1 missed. And he was marking up, I believe, against Moses Sully, who was absolutely ripping and tearing. So, yeah, I thought, shout out to you, Kyle McCarthy. I thought he had a really, really good game. Said it a while back, you know, if I can't remember the exact game it was that he came in and filled in. I think it was on the right wing. And he had a couple of errors coming out of our own end, but he still had the confidence to throw a really, really neat pass to KP. And I thought, shit, that's a sign of a really good player. He's going to back himself. He's got all the confidence. He's going to go into his shell and that kind of thing. Again, it wasn't a super flashy game by Kyle McCarthy, but geez, he held his own against a rampaging Moses Sully, I thought. And I thought, you know, he's got a young winger outside of him. You know, Gamble had his defensive deficiencies, as I said before, in that Jaden Seward try. And he's had him for a while there. Willie Mason's gone on public records numerous times saying, you know, Tyson Gamble isn't the best defending half. And that sort of, that kind of, you know, didn't help his cause with a poor read on the try line there. But Lord Kyle McCarthy, if there was a way for me to give him 1 point, I would have given it to him. I thought he had a really, really good game. I don't think a lot of battlers would have really appreciated the great game that Kyle McCarthy actually played. So, but yeah, battlers, they're my pay cat 3, 2, 1 players of the week. And to kind of wrap up the game, again, it was just another game where the forwards were completely outmuscled. The halves really didn't connect. There was hardly any combination. Rugby league shape was out the window. Again, the only player that looked remotely dangerous anywhere near it was Leo Thompson crabbed across the field in a flick pass. That's literally all we had. And again, the Dragons are a good team. They're a good team. They came out to Suncorp and they beat the Broncos. You know, they've got a good team on their hands. I think they sit 6th now on the ladder. Is that right? If I'm reading that right, are they 6th? No, hang on. I'm on drugs. That isn't right. They're 8th. They've jumped up to 8th. So, you know, they're a pretty good team. So, unfortunate. You know, much of the same issues that have been plaguing us week after week after week. Certainly aren't finding any more answers to that. You let me know what you think. I genuinely don't think Kalen Ponga playing would have made much of a difference at all. I can't see when your forwards are getting absolutely dominated in the fashion they were, which was, I think that was even more so than what the Eels did to us when Kalen was playing. I just don't know what you would expect from him. The halves certainly weren't clicking. You got a makeshift left edge there. Those combinations certainly haven't been set. The right's been clunky at the best times, even though they sort of came back to light a little bit. I felt like when Brayley sort of got into hooker and he sort of opened him up a bit by squaring the attack up a little bit. But all in all, I can't sit there and be too critical of Adam O'Brien going, well, mate, you know, for a team whose season's completely derailed, searching for points while you're leaving your best player out of the team, I'm with him. I think it's a long season. If this ankle's not right, you know, how much is it going to suck if we were going to miss him for even more weeks than what we would have?
And as you mentioned, that Clint's commented, team needs to take a leaf out of the Raiders playing as a team.
Yeah, absolutely, Clint. You know, it's just unfortunate, mate. We can't play against origin depleted teams or bloody injury depleted teams like the Rabbitohs and the Panthers each week. We fucking pan them into the earth and win a comp. They sort of makes it look good, but yeah, it's just unfortunate. I don't know. It was more of a like, I don't attribute to this game. I wasn't watching back on this game and thinking, oh, it was a lack of confidence kind of game. I just felt more like they just blew us off the park through the middle and we just never had any answers and really soft defense. I didn't read out. What was the missed tackle count? You know, it's just not that the halves, when the halves did get in good field position, they didn't make the most of it, but their forwards certainly didn't help them in that regard. Defense, where have we got? Missed tackles, 39 missed tackles to the Dragons, 18. So, again, something Adam O'Brien would certainly not be too impressed with. Brian McDermott would absolutely be filthy at that. I'd say coming out of halftime, they just rolled through us for a team that had plenty of points put on in the first half. You would have thought they'd come out firing. The game had not been lost at that point. Not the game had been lost. You know, that I don't know why there wasn't that fire to try and come out there and you know, start a really good second half on sort of put that first half behind us and come out really strong in the second half, but that certainly was not the case. Came out really, really slow, lethargic. Dragons just continued to do what they were doing, again, on the back of David Klemmer. Wouldn't we love a David Klemmer about now? Wouldn't we kill for a David Klemmer? He had a really, really good game. But yeah, to sum it up, that was pretty much it. Dragons absolutely dominating the power game. Again, really rudderless, lackluster attack. Halves really didn't do much at all. And you just had a couple of young guys trying their absolute hearts out until Jane Bradley came on, squared up the attack, and our right edge finally started doing something, started breaking the line a little bit. But again, too little, too late.
Not soon enough.
No, not soon enough, which is unfortunate. Seems like scoreboard pressure is the only time we really start throwing the ball around and leaning into the kind of football team that we have. We haven't got a tough, gritty team at the moment. We've got to start throwing it around a little bit. So, but yeah, all right, that'll wrap up the review for tonight. Let's take some of the Battlers' burning questions brought to you by our great mates at Get Out Alive Fire Safety Training. You work in a business, Battlers, chances are you probably are not prepared for fire emergency. Just like the Newcastle Knights don't seem to be prepared for an emergency come half-time. All right? So you don't want to be caught with your pants down. Make sure you get in contact with Get Out Alive Fire Safety Training for your training, procedures, and plans. Because if you do not learn, you will burn. All right. I think we've got a couple of what have we got here from the Battlers? Burning question here from Joel. What do you got, Joel?
Yeah, no, another tough watch from the Newcastle Knights there to get flogged by the Dragons, like an average team in the Dragons. It's pretty putrid, but, you know, we move. I reckon we're destined to be in the bottom four this season. Parramatta, they're playing some good footy right now, and the Titans, when they get Keanu Kinney back, they'll jag a few wins. I reckon we get the spoon, to be honest.
Ugh.
But no, all good. Actually, no, not all good, but fuck it. Who do you think we'll get as a coach? Because Mal Meninga, he's getting the Perth job. So I reckon we get, what's his name? Brad Arthur. And he's pretty, like, he will get the attack fine. Because when he was at Parramatta, he allowed them to use offloads, and his attacking system got them to a grand final. Who do you think we'll get?
Nice one, Joel. Geez, I don't like your spoon chat, mate. I do not want to be talking about bloody rugby league spoons, mate, at the start of June. No, thank you. Brad Arthur's a really good shout. You know, when Brad Arthur, what do they say about a great coach is it's not how they sort of came into the place, it's how they left it. You know, unlike what sort of Wayne Bennett did to us when he left, the place was like a burning fucking building. And I don't think anyone at Parramatta could say a bad word about Brad. I think it was just, unfortunately for Brad, he'd been there so long, it's just the same message being said by the same person. It just wasn't sort of resonating any longer. But you're right, got the Parramatta Eels to a grand final in 2022. It's just super unfortunate for any of those teams the past 4 years. They've probably gone up against the greatest rugby league team that we'll ever see, who went on to win 4 straight. You know, had it been any other sort of era, that Parramatta Eels team might have broken their 40-year drought. But, going up against a red-hot Panthers team. But, yeah, you're right. They really leaning to that real offload game, a game plan I really like. It's sort of certainly brought out the best in Dill Brown, a guy that we're going to have for a long, long time. I'm sure Dill Brown would love to be coached once more by Brad Arthur. The other upside is his son, Matty Arthur, a really highly touted young hooker. I'm imagining wherever Brad goes, that's where Matty will go. You know, once he, Brad was let go by the Eels, his son soon followed. So I imagine that trend would continue. Wherever Brad ends up, that's where he would, and he seems to be a really good one. So great hookers sort of don't sort of fall out of trees, mate. So when that was announced that he was probably going to Perth, I was thinking immediately, that sucks. Matty Arthur's, because all these battlers were sort of saying, play Matty Arthur. But that would sort of put an end to that for me. If he's going to be moving on, there's no point really developing him, getting too many games into him this season if he's going to bounce. But not a bad shout. It's just the awkward thing, bro. The awkward thing about Matty Arthur is Adam O'Brien and Brad Arthur, go way back. Go Google it. After the show, go Google Brad Arthur and Adam O'Brien, and you'll go see 20-year-old bloody AOB and Brad playing footy together. Brad's even got bloody hair. Looks weird. And what was it? What was the yarn? Was Adam O'Brien was babysitting Matty Arthur, I think, when he was a young fella. So look, they go back ways. So I don't know if there'd be this awkward thing taking, one of your good mates' jobs from him. That'd be a bit weird. Does it end a friendship? Does it end a lifelong friendship between Adam O'Brien and Brad Arthur? If Brad Arthur comes and gets his job, who knows? But there could be a lot worse coaches, mate. I think out of all the coaches, the only reason I haven't sort of mentioned him more because he's been so heavily linked to the bloody Perth job. But isn't it I think it's the Gold Coast now. The Gold Coast might even be looking at that Brad Arthur. But anyways, speaking of coaches, let's take a couple of other calls from the battlers.
Another weekend, another loss. Fan-fucking-tastic. It's salubrious. It's absolutely lovely.
It's a new word.
Oh, boy. So much joy in being a Newcastle Knights fan, isn't there? I loved being in the winner's circle for less than a week, but now we're back out in the cold. Lovely. Shout out to Fletcher Hunt, Fletcher Sharp, and James Schiller. I felt those three really never gave up, kept attacking, kept giving it their all. But rest in KP in hindsight, probably not the best thing, but I'm not blaming KP. Hopefully a week off might just motivate him and get that fire burning again, and he'll come back next week going, you know what, that loss against the Dragons,
I
that
think I know what's
shouldn't have
coming.
happened, and he'll come out absolutely busting to play.
It's
A
coming.
game that sets the world on fire again, like the KP of 2023.
Where is it?
The KP we know and love. But my blame, as always, going to the coach. Get rid of him.
Ding, ding,
The
ding,
game
ding, ding.
plan is so predictable. Teams can pick it
Justin.
apart willy-nilly. And it just feels like AOB doesn't give a shit. So pull the trigger, pay the payout, and get rid of him.
Oh, Justin. Hey, you're on a roller coaster of emotions, pal. I hope somewhere, mate, you're listening to this, you'll be tuning in right now. Hope you're feeling somewhat better, mate. You got that off your chest. Might have put a bit of things in perspective, but yeah, look, unfortunately, we're seeing the same issues, aren't we? Lackluster attack, errors still plaguing us. Haven't seen a lot resolved, have we? It's been pretty ordinary. Last week we got the win, albeit against a very depleted Panthers side, and I did say there's going to be a little bit of pressure taken off Adam O'Brien, not a lot, but a little. But geez, it's going to be hard for him. As I said, coming up, you're going to have no Leo now for a month, no JSAF. So your two big alpha dog forwards, Gornsky, your lethal left. Greggy and Brady. I think he said Greg might be available for the game against Manly. So stay tuned on the roster review show for that one. But Brady's still out for at least 2 weeks, I think. So plenty of outs still for Adam O'Brien. With not much help on the way, unless Dom, you're not going to get your hands on Dom for another few weeks. So yeah, it's going to be hard, mate. He's under the most pressure that he's ever been under, absolutely, in his career, searching for answers at the moment. I think any of us, I don't know where he goes from here, mate. But anyways, let's move along. Let's take another one. Who we got here?
Hey, Lincoln and Louise. Just letting you know that we only watch the Knights when the Broncos are not playing. Love you. Bye.
Some filthy Bronco supporters, hey?
Filthy Bronco supporters, my
Wow,
cousins.
hey? Wrong podcast, girls. Should be listening to Penalty Broncos, huh?
That's it.
Well, do you know that the Broncos have only won one more game than we have? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So of all the woes battlers, it's
Comment here from Tony said, I think we have problems, but how bad are the Brisbane going?
Oh.
Link would love that.
absolutely, Tony. Yeah, it's nice. You love to see the Newcastle Knights going well, but when you're not doing so well, but the Broncos also, given all their resources and all the bullshit they go on about, it's not bad, is it? It's not
Sorry,
bad.
cousins.
Yeah, it's not bad. I'm still just trying to ride on the high from the New South Wales absolute dominance on Wednesday, mate. So I'm still on cloud 9. All right, where was this one here that was it Nico? Nico had a good one, didn't he?
Nico, yeah.
All right, Nico, what do you got, pal?
Good morning, Lincoln and Lou. Another tough carry, another tough watch, another tough week of being a Newcastle Knights fan. What's changed, guys? What's changed? Are we delusional as fans? Do we think our team is better than what it is? That could be the case, mate. That could be the case. Could be the case. We've lost a fair few bang average games this year against bang average teams, and we can't even fucking score a try. I mean, it's just proving the point that I think we are better than what we actually are. Guys, and as fans, can we please stop the rhetoric of, Kaliamponga, we're a better team without Kaliamponga? No, we're not. We're not, guys. We're not. Please, stop. Come on. And, drop Greg Marzio. Man, the amount of times we need that bloke coming out of shit, fucking bringing the ball back, tough carries. We're getting absolutely hammered by fucking Blake Laurie. Like, come on, guys. Honestly. Yeah, you guys, everyone's getting a bit crazy. I think this season is making everyone a bit crazy. We're not a better team without Kaliamponga. We're not a better team without Greg Marzio. We need these kind of fucking players. We're clutching at straws here, guys. Clutching at straws. God, it's just, honestly, man, this season's fucked.
Oh, Nico. Well, Nico, what do I keep saying on the United podcast, mate? When emotions are high, intelligence is low. And when we all get emotional, we say shit we probably don't mean. I'm sure there's plenty of battlers that start typing shit away. And what you should do, battlers, is type it away somewhere in your phone. And then maybe an hour later, if you feel like posting it, go post it. If not, just go delete it. You'll feel better. Well, you know what? This is why the United hotline's there. Jump on the hotline, give me an absolute gobful on the phone, and then you'll feel better. You go, thank God. Lincoln's my Newcastle Knights verbal punching bag. Just get it off your chest. But you're right, yeah. I'll certainly, I'll die on the hill that, where is it? I moved it. But anyways, our boy Kaliamponga, we're an infinitely better team with Kaliamponga. There's just so much wrong with this club at the moment. It's not coming down to Kaliamponga. It's not like, the forwards are doing what they need to do, and the halves are absolutely gelling and they're on fire, and KP's just dragging us down. And that's not the case. Kalen's a mere mortal too. I know he's won a Dally M and we've seen him at the great heights he had a couple of years ago. But yeah, again, what do you want to do? How many other fullbacks? Put it this way: of all the other fullbacks in the comp, if you went and picked them up and dropped them in this team, would they flourish? Highly doubt it. Highly, highly doubt it. Even the great Billy Slater, I feel like he's probably the greatest fullback. Reinvented the fullback position. Even he would struggle in this team. Even he would have some pretty bang average performances by his lofty standards. It wouldn't be the Billy Slater we've come to know and, not love because he's the fucking Maroons coach. We've come to know and hate as Billy Slater. But, I just feel like, if you're thinking everything should just be on Kaliamponga, this is why there's ever sort of rumors or innuendo Kaliamponga's over it. It's because he probably feels like I'm sick and tired of being the one to bear the brunt of this. And that's why I keep saying, that's why Dylan Brown has been brought here. Dylan Brown is a gift to Kaliamponga more than anything. It's them going, we are willing to basically hedge this huge bet, this massive bet, the biggest rugby league contract that has ever been offered and signed for you, Kalen. We want you to be a Knight forever. We believe in you. You've won a Dally M under us. We understand you need help. You need help. You need elite level talent. And we've hedged our bets. We have just rolled the rugby league dice on Dylan Brown. I think it'll pay off. He's coming in, again, 24 years old, 25, the prime age, battlers, the prime age. So, yeah, I'm with you, Nico. People just take a deep breath. And Greggy Marzio, I'm with you, Greggy, mate. Coaches would love to have a Greg Marzio. He's a gun. Tough carries. Tompy, what do you got? Tompy, are you going to load? Tompy's not going to load. Let's try again.
Hey, it's Tompy here. Pretty disappointed with the loss. I'm hoping this season doesn't deter our fans of going to Vegas next year. I think it'll be good. I'm really hoping I can go, but I doubt it. But yeah, just disappointed, and all I can really do is hope that we can get a win against Manly next week at home on a Thursday night. Odds probably against us. But yeah, also somehow I tipped KPP to score a try, which the odds of that are probably even more slim than us winning. And Yeah, I just picked him because I thought the week before he made that really good break, and yeah, so I don't know, just disappointed, but got to just hope for better days, and hopefully they'll come soon.
Oh, Tommy, geez, I miss having really elated, excited voicemails. But great pick, Tommy. You know, I was, you know, how many times did I lock in KPP for a bloody try last season? I gave up because I think I'm jinxing this poor bloke. So, no, good on you, Tommy. It's the little victories, Tommy. It's the little victories. Very good. All right, what are the battlers got for us, Lou?
Before we move on, Lincoln, we just do have to do a special shout out.
We do have to do a special shout out. Huge happy birthday to my brother, Kurt. Now, before I did this, I was going to ask, what's the update on the Raiders game?
I believe they won.
The Raiders won. Did they really? My brother's battlers, huge Raiders supporter. Oh, they did too. 26 points to 24. Well, there you go. Ricky's Raiders gave you a great birthday present because talking to him today, I'm like, if the Raiders lose, it's going to ruin your birthday. And he goes, fucking oath it will. Wow, there you go. 26 points to 24. Very good. So big happy birthday to my little brother, Kurt. There you go. I'm sure he always fucking jabs it into me about the Newcastle Knights' terrible fucking season. So glad you're having a win, mate. I'm glad you're having a win. So happy birthday to you.
Celebrate with some caramel slice.
Oh, yeah. So second shout out too. Battlers, how good is it when mum makes your caramel slice? Got him behind the bar here. I've already nailed a few of them. So shout out to you, mum. Love you. Love these caramel slice too. Keep them coming. All right. What have the battlers got for us, Lou?
Sorry, I do keep bringing this comment up. Justin asks, how many beers do I owe you, Linc, for having the hotline, which has definitely helped blow some steam off after some tough losses?
I'd have to consult the book, mate. Everyone's got a debt to pay to me, mate. You'll get an email. Trust me. It's probably 3 or 4 cases, somewhere around that vicinity, mate. You're right up there. Don't worry.
Alrighty. Jermaine's asked, is it true that after the Roosters game, we'll get Dominic Young back?
Yeah, nothing confirmed. But yeah, it's very, very likely by the sounds, mate. It's all indicators are pointing that direction, mate. That yeah, I think it's round 16, dude. He'll be back. No longer Voldemort.
Do you think from Chris? Do you think we'll pick Jackson next week?
Now, Chris, I was going to put this in my notes to talk about Jackson Hastings, but I've just gotten to the point where I feel like it doesn't matter what happens at this point. Like it literally would need to take so many players to either be injured or suspended for Jacko to come in. I don't think it'll happen, mate. I don't know why. I would love to see it happen. I feel like we just need that organising half. Like what do we got to lose at this point? We've won 4 games, lost 8. Season is well and truly starting to slip. I know we're not out of touch of the 8 yet. I know when you're down in the dumps and we're just looking at the Newcastle Knights. But when you actually look at the competition as a whole, let's have a look. While I'm talking about it, let's have a look at the ladder. Put a load for me. The live ladder. Where are we? So Dragons coming 8th. They've won 5 games, but they have had 2 buys. This is why it annoys me. Teams getting fucking points on the bye. Cowboys also already have 2 buys, and they're sitting in there also. So both 5 wins there. And this is how stupid it is. The Rabbitohs actually have 6 wins, but because they've only had 1 bye, they're sitting below the Dragons. 1 more games will be sitting below them on the ladder. How dumb's that? So let's take a look at it. So look, yeah, 6 wins get you in the 8. We're sitting on 4. Sitting on 4 battlers. So look, I know it fucking sucks and we've got a lot to improve on, and there's no indicators to show us that we are improving. In fact, we're flatlining or maybe even regressed a bit. But if we can turn it on, I know you're sitting there going, Linc, I'm so sick of your optimistic, bloody glass half full bullshit. Well, it's happened before. So you just got to keep hope that somehow, some way, we get the troops back and we can just start stringing some wins. I think in the next 7 games, unfortunately, over the next 7 games I read, we play each top 4 team. So we must play the Doggies, Warriors, Storm, and Raiders over the next 7 weeks, which isn't great. We haven't got a great run coming up, but yeah, Manly back at Manly. The theme for next week is going to be 1997, the year, the war that was, campaign, I'll be kicking off, reigniting the old rivalry. I want to stoke those flames once more. I feel like it's a rivalry that's died. I don't think it was our fault it died either. I think it was because they merged with the fucking Bears. I don't think it was anything of our doing at that point in time. But yeah, get out your 97 kits, battlers. Because it's going to be the war that was, and we're going to reignite that flame and try and maybe get some of that 1997 magic back into this 2025 team.
Edwards asked, do you think there is a divide between the coaching team and the players, Mr. United?
Mr. United. Thanks, Edward. What a very polite young man. Hard to say, man. Like, I'm no body language expert. Can we maybe get in touch with a body language expert and they can just sit there and watch all the press conferences and maybe they'll pick up on something? I know these journos sort of, I think it's the mole, doesn't Moley get in there and go, oh, Kalen Ponga's fucking rolling his eyes, and I don't know, they're clutching at straws or anything like that. It's hard to know, man. It truly, anyone who's saying that with any conviction, I swear, would just be guessing. The only people that can really answer that are coaching staff, the players, and upper management at this point, mate.
Funny you say that because G. Warding has commented, how is it that Linc is far more articulate than our coach?
Oh, that's, no discredit to Adam O'Brien, mate. I'm just a very highly intelligent, highly articulated man. I think you put me up against most people. I'm only kidding, mate. I'm only kidding. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I kind of love seeing a bit of passion from AOB, whether it's misguided or it's you believe it or not, and you feel like, oh, Adam O'Brien's just blaming the draw. I was like, nah, fuck it. If that's what you believe in, fucking stand up for it. Say something with conviction. And I'm all about that. That's what Ricky Stewart does. I love it. Love it. You want a coach that, live by the sword, die by the sword. And I think what frustrates us a little bit about Adam O'Brien, I think what the battlers feel like is because he comes across as so, what's the word I'm looking for? He's very calculated in kind of what he says. And he doesn't he's not a highly emotional guy. When you look at guys like, Ricky Stewart's like the polar opposite. That guy comes in, or Des Hasler, they're sort of on this side of the scale, where Adam O'Brien's very reserved in that regard. I know he sort of goes, he can be quite animated and emotional up in the coach's box, but we don't really see that in the presses. And I feel like the battle would probably resonate with and be maybe even sympathetic towards Adam O'Brien if they saw that a little bit. Like, lean into it, Adam. Get fucking pissed off. Maybe, put a boot up the arse some of these players. Say, no, we weren't good in this. We weren't good at that. But, here's what he is. But, this week I liked it. I like seeing him stand up for something. Whether you agree with it or not, that's up to you. But it's just nice to see a little bit of fire in Adam O'Brien's belly.
Justin's asked, is there still hope in the season to make the finals, or did this loss on Friday night and those hopes?
Nah, look, Justin, I know there's plenty of people, and there's plenty of people out there who are don't support the Newcastle Knights. They'll be watching us and going, Christ, the Newcastle Knights are like one of the most boring rugby league, uninspiring, insipid rugby league teams to watch in 2025. And I completely understand that, and I probably agree with most of it. But yeah, as I read out the ladder before, you start winning a couple of games and some results go, it's not that far out. What are we now? Round 13. We're halfway through the how many rounds of football is there? Let me scoot through here. 27 rounds of football. So we're coming up to the halfway point. Obviously, our next half of the season is going to be far, 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 far better. But certainly, we haven't got out the calculator. We're not in calculator territory, which is something. It's something. That's what they were asking Adam O'Brien. I know it's a bit of a coaching trope, and they say, "Oh, you're thinking about finals," and he's just like, "Mate, we just need to lock in game by game." And I guarantee that's what they would be doing. They certainly wouldn't be looking far down the barrel. It's literally like, boys, we just got to lock in each week. We need to sort so much fucking shit out. There's no point looking down the track. We're not in that position. We need to right this ship, and we need to get this season back on track right now. So, yeah, the calculator isn't out, Justin.
Michaela's asked, hey, Linc, apart from the loss, how was the weekend?
Not bad.
Shout out to Lincoln. He was very sick yesterday.
Yeah, it's been a mixed week, Michaela. Flying high at Suncorp Stadium on Wednesday. That was fucking awesome. I tell you what, Michaela, do you know why I was so incredibly optimistic about the Blues dominating the Maroons? It was just in the air. I was taking the piss out of it. We were driving around town on the day. I didn't see, I don't know, it was meant to be a little bit of a joke. I saw no Maroons jerseys, nothing at all. And it just, I know there's been a lot said about the build up to this game sort of seemed a bit lacking and missing, the theater that is the coaches and, some of the players saying shit about one another kind of wasn't there this year, but just going in the atmosphere at Suncorp Stadium, I didn't feel intimidated at all. And they keep saying that Suncorp Stadium Origin time is meant to be the most intimidating arena there is. Well, I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it at all. I was sitting with Black Cheese Blues. I was with my own, but yeah, no, that was sensational. And then, the Knights lost and feeling crook as a dog yesterday. I'm feeling much better. I would have been far less animated if I was doing the show yesterday. But it hasn't been bad, Michaela. I think that's probably the longest answer you've ever been given to how our weekend was, but there it is.
Also, shout out from two battlers. Justin and Sal have said they like the new setup with the bar.
Oh, more to come, mate. More
Love
to
how
come.
you're switching up the recording locations in the Knighted bar. And Sal said, love the video from the bar.
Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah, well, we've got it's almost like a studio. It's a bar and a studio. There's so much great sets here. And you know what? I'm going to be that lazy prick just parking my ass down there all the time. I'm going to change it up. So stay tuned. It's going to be a couple other little things we're going to tinker with as well. So, yeah, appreciate it, mate.
I don't think I read this one before from Jermaine. Do you think the Knights are thinking about the Dylan Brown deal and thinking about Dom Young coming back to our team?
Do you think the Knights are thinking about yeah, look, I don't know if it was purely coincidental. It was just before the Titans game. It was announced that it was all but confirmed Dylan Brown had signed that big deal. And then, we won back-to-back games. We won the game against West Tigers and then the Dolphins, and then came to the Gold Coast and played like absolute poo. Don't know whether that's just purely, coincidental or not. Dom Young, I don't think so. I don't know. Dylan Brown would certainly have probably a little bit more weight, but I wouldn't attribute it to that. I think it was just confidence off the field. I think it was a huge distraction. I'd be very surprised, mate, if that were the case. Why Dylan Brown signing would just derail a season as such. But, yeah, who knows?
Noah's asked, is there a chance Payne Haas might come back to Newcastle? There's a rumor that his agents are talking with rival clubs.
Oh, Noah. Wouldn't that? I don't know if we got the money. Jeez. By the time you got to pay KP, pay Dylan Brown, and then Payne Haas, they might have to bloody pay me in bloody cans of Coke to go play in the wing or something. Might have no money left. He did say that I was trying to dig out. I did do a graphic for it. I think it was last year. He did go on record to say, growing up as a young fella, he wanted to play for the Newcastle Knights because his uncle, I think it was Mark Tafur, played for the Newcastle Knights. So look, there is something there. If he wants to relive the childhood dream of becoming a Newcastle Knight, well, it's there. But geez, with these new clubs coming about, man, his contract value is going to be huge, massive. I think that's probably a team like the Perth Bears or something we'll be looking at and going, he is a player that you can build a club around. Like much like Dylan Brown's, not very often these guys become off contract. So there's probably no coincidence you got these new clubs floating around, his contract situation's up. His agents wanted to bump him up. I'm sure his preferred, position, he'd prefer to probably just stay where he is. But, who knows? But I just don't think we could afford him, unfortunately. I'd take him in a bloody heartbeat. Don't get me wrong. But, yeah, geez, I just can't see how our cap would be so top-heavy. God, you'd have, KP 1.4, Dylan Brown 1.2. I think you'd be paying over $1 million for Payne. You'd be probably paying him close to that again, 1.2, 3, I reckon, just to get him out of the place. So, yeah, there'd be not much money left for anywhere for much else, mate.
Justin's asked, did the club stuff up in hindsight getting rid of Clem?
Oh, yes and no, Justin. A lot of that 10-game win streak, Jackson played really, really well. I think, I guess hindsight, unfortunately, injuries really plagued Jackson Hastings. That he had some issues with his ankle, and then he had that really bad hip drop tackle from Jacob Preston, if you remember. And mate, he just never came back the same. It would have been a horrible rehab, the screws and the ankle and all that shit, mate. But I still believe that he might have lost some pace. But you look at like an Adam Reynolds, and there's plenty of other halves in the comp that certainly aren't fast by any means, but they just do all the kick the corners well, organize really, really well. Yeah, I guess if you had a crystal ball, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's hard to say. Yeah, with injuries, I really do like Jacko. I've loved what he's brought to our club. It's unfortunate what's played out in front of our eyes, and he sort of can't get a shot at the moment. All right, what do we got? 2 more.
So, Carly's asked, how long is Saf out for?
Adam O'Brien, I think he said 3 weeks. I think he was confident 3. I think 2 might have been a bit of a stretch, but 3 looks like he'll probably be back, I think. Less than a month.
Lindsay's asked, with Schiller being decent, but Dom coming, do you think that Schiller would replace KPP in the second row next year?
Ooh, well, a battler asked me about what Schiller would do. Do you know what, Lindsay? I genuinely think he's going to have to spend a year in Reggie's, and he's going to have to do an apprenticeship under Dane Gagai. I've got a really good feeling he would be our right side centre. I reckon he's got the physicality for it. I'm not sure about back row. Again, I know that's Dill Lucas. He came through as a centre and bulked right up, and then developed him into a really, really lethal back rower. So potentially, but I think centre. I think he's got all the skill set to be a really good centre. He's really physical. Really strong. I feel like he could certainly do a job there. And who better to do a year apprenticeship under than Dane Gagai? Keep him around if they do keep that mutual option. I can't see, again, after another performance like this week, why the Knights wouldn't pull the trigger on that mutual contract. By all reports, Dane wants to stay at the club for another year. So I think that's where Schiller Instinct's future would lie. If I had to put money on it, I reckon he'll finish as our right side centre in 27.
I got a comment from Wayne commenting back to his mum saying that I've lost her comment, sorry, but he said, yeah, Mama Bear, Knights always and forever, and the Knighted is an awesome show. Love it.
Oh, bit of a family affair in here. Love it.
Also, Carly's asked, are we going to Vegas?
I don't know about Lou. I'm trying to get. I'm endeavoring to get there, Carly. I'm endeavoring to get there. All right. So, got a few logistical things to work out, but yeah, I'm sure I'll be trying to get over there, and then Lou will be bunkered down here doing all the producer work and getting all the content prepped for that. Very good, battlers. Well, if you can do so, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all your Knighted content on all social media platforms. And as I said, if you want to go on the running to win these sexy bits of retro Newcastle Knights kit directly after this show, all right, head to YouTube, go subscribe there. All right, go to Spotify. You're going to go follow us there. And then while you're on Spotify, leave us a big old 5-star review, all right? You'll go on the running. We're playing Manly next week, all right? So you're going to be in the mood for some 90-97 kit, all right? So if you want to go on the running for that, God knows what you'd have to pay to get that stuff now. There's hundreds of dollars worth of merchandise there. I'm not even kidding you. Retro Newcastle Knights merch is a hot property. And that stuff, I'm telling you, it's like it's been locked in a vault. I'm not even sure it's ever been worn. I'm telling you, it's like brand bloody new. Yes, Battler, so if you can do that, that would be greatly appreciated. But yes, until the roster review show on Tuesday, we'll be breaking down the squads. Adam O'Brien names to take on the Manly Warringah Seagulls, the old foe, on the Thursday night clash. Yeah, battlers, I am getting the Adam O'Brien out of here. I'll see you on the roster review show, hey?